Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you haven't already noticed, I've actually got a better camera now, so hopefully this time it won't be as blurry like my last video and you can actually see what I'm doing. So today we're going to be doing something that I actually get asked quite a lot how to do, and actually get asked to do it for them. And because I don't think it's something that you should pay to do, you should actually know how to do it yourself. Hopefully this will save you guys some money and save me some time of explaining people how to do it. I'm going to show you guys how to change your own strings. There's a few different ways to change strings depending on your guitar. So I've got one that has a fixed bridge in there, and it also has the non-locking tuners, so you'll see how to change strings on one of those. It's not overly difficult. They can get a bit tricky up on the headstock, but I'll make sure to get some close-ups so you can see what to do there. And I've also got Tremolo, which passes the strings through the back and uses locking machine heads, so they're a lot easier to change strings on. So let's get into it, shall we? Okay guys, so to start with, we're going to be changing strings on the Ibanez ART300. If you can't already see, it's missing the high E string, so we're going to be changing that one first. One thing that people seem to do that you really shouldn't do is take all the strings off first. You should never do that when changing your strings. It's important, otherwise the neck will bend out of shape, and you'll have to get it all set up, and it can cost you a lot of money having to straighten that neck out and do all that. One thing I should also mention when you're changing your guitar strings is that you should always try to maintain the same gauge of guitar strings. Most guitars come with a .010 gauge, which is your standard gauge, which a lot of people use. I usually use a .009, and I like them a bit better because they're a bit lighter, so they're easier to bend, but it's all up to personal preference. If you do decide to change the gauge of guitar string for whatever reason, either personal preference or to get a different sound or whatever, I will show you guys in the next video how to adjust your intonation so you can use the new gauge. But like I said, if you change the gauge too high, say you go from a .010 to a .012, that might cause a bit of warping in your neck, so just be careful if you guys do that. The strings I'll be using are just a Diodario .010 that I've got here because this guitar has .010 strings on it, but I will show you guys how to do intonations, like I said, in the next video. Okay, so first things you obviously want to do is to find the right string that you're replacing. Obviously this is the high E string, so I'll be using this high E string here. Most packets on the back of the box generally have a color code on the back there, so you can actually tell what string goes where. So in this case, the one with the silver bearing at the end of it, just there, is the one that we'll be using for the high E string. So when you guys have found your string, first thing you want to do is put that ball bearing into the bridge there like that. Some of them are a bit different, and you'll actually have to get the tip of the string to push through a hole in there and pull it out through the other side. This one obviously doesn't have to do that, so we don't have to worry about that there. Then from there, all you need to do is line it up with the saddle, which you can see sits just in there like that. And then just run all the way down until you get to the nut. When you get your string to the peg head end, it's time to put the string through the tuning peg, just through there like that. You can see it goes through that hole. And the thing you want to make sure of first is to make sure that when you turn the string, that the string goes to the inside of the tuning peg, otherwise it can look a little weird and might not look as nice. It doesn't really matter which way you do it, but it's more for visual presentation more so than anything. So when you've got your string through the peg head there and through the hole, you want to give it a little bit of slack. Because these are non-locking tuning heads, basically you need the string to be able to wrap around this post about 2 times. Otherwise it'll keep slipping out of tune and you'll have to spend lots of time tuning it as you play. So when you give it a bit of slack, you just need to give it a couple of inches, not a lot, so just basically pull the string tight, and then I find if you pull the string back to about the 2nd fret, that should be enough slack for you guys to be able to wind it off and keep it in tune, and it should be pretty good. Okay, so the next step, once you've got your slack all sorted out, is to grab this bit past the tuning head and lift it up, and then start winding it so the machine head turns inwards on the headstock. This bit can take a while, but if you've got a peg winder you can do this bit pretty quickly. I just haven't bothered to spend the money on one. I know they're pretty cheap. Basically just hold this bit of string up above it. Of course make sure that the string is staying on the fretboard and sits eventually in the nut. You can of course fix that a bit later. But holding this bit of string up basically stops it from popping off over the top, and sometimes, as you can see what I just did then, you have to fold it down just to keep the string on its guide, and just keep winding. Again, fix the string up, make sure it's actually in the saddle so you don't have to undo all your hard work. And then, as you can see, the string is now tightening up around it pretty well. And then keep going until it's tight. Keep going. Now it might look tight, but if you play it, you hear that? It sounds like absolute crap. So just keep going until it's in tune. And use your tuner to get it to the right tune. And then you're pretty much set. So yeah, that's pretty much all there is to this guitar. As you can see, you've got the little bearing in there. Sits in the saddle up here and goes all the way around up to the peg head end, where it spins around on the inside of the peg head. Remember, on the inside, it's more of a visual thing, but it makes it look good. The only other thing you have to do is just cut off the excess string. Some people just wrap it up and leave it on there. I think that just looks sloppy and lazy, and I don't personally like it. But I hope this helped for anyone who has a similar guitar. So let's get on to locking tuners and tremolos. Okay guys, so up next we're going to be changing the strings on this Burns Brian May signature that you would have seen in my last video. So as you can see, it looks quite a bit different at the bridge end, where it's got all the saddles and the strings actually run through to the back side of the body, which is where you'll be inserting and removing the strings from. But once that's all sorted out down there, this part's super easy. As you can see on these machine heads, they are not wrapped around the head at all. They're actually only looped around about halfway. This is because they're locking tuners, so they're a lot easier to change. They're a lot less hassle. I like them. They're pretty good. If you can get a guitar with locking tuners, then you're pretty much set. Some people have a locking nut on theirs instead of locking tuners. I personally prefer locking tuners over a locking nut. But whatever you prefer, it's up to you. I can't actually show you a string change on a locking nut because I don't have a guitar with a locking nut. So sorry to all you guys with locking nuts. Okay guys, so first things first, we need to remove the string that we want to change. In this case, I'm going to be changing the D string. So all we need to do is just basically loosen it off, wiggle it around. I know I'm getting in the way a bit guys, I apologize. But basically it comes out just like that. And from there you can just drop it off and bring it back to this part. Okay, so once you've got the string off, you need to come back to this saddle end, because what you'll be doing is pushing the string up through the back side of the guitar, which is as you'll see in a sec. Not incredibly difficult to do. As you can see just here, the ball bearing's already popping through a bit. So all you have to do is just get the string, push it through, pull it out. Be careful that the string doesn't go waving around and whacking itself on the paintwork, because you don't want to damage the paint on your lovely guitar. And that's it for removing the strings. Okay, so putting the string back in is easy. All you need to do is just find the hole that it came out of, in which case it should be this one just here. Push the string through and basically find it on the other side there, which is right here. Give it a tug, pull it all the way through until you can't pull it any further. Make sure it's actually all the way through, because sometimes they can get stuck here. Now if you can't see the holes there, what's a good idea to do is to just tilt the tremolo a bit. Sometimes that'll bring the holes in line with the hole in the plastic, and that'll make things go a lot easier for you. Okay, so seeing as that first part was super easy, like before, what you want to do is make sure that the string sits in the saddle. Sometimes they like to go a bit loose, sometimes they don't, but usually in these you won't have any problems keeping it in the saddle, so don't worry too much. Okay, so now we're at the business end of things. What you want to do is basically, you can usually spin this head around until you find the hole. Usually it'll click into place where the holes will line up, so all you have to do is just push the string through there like that. Make sure it's on the right side of all the other pegs and strings, and then pull it pretty much, not as tight as you can, but pull it pretty tight. You don't want a lot of slack, if any, so pull it tight, hold it there, and then from there it's just time to start tuning. Okay, so like before, just pull it tight, make sure the string's sitting in the right spot on the nut, and grab it and twist it. Again, you can use a peg winder. Again, I don't have one, so I won't worry too much about it. Basically, spin it so it turns onto the inside. Like I said, this is more or less just for presentation. And keep going until it's pretty much in tune. And then all you have to do is just cut off the extra bit, and that'll stay in tune and you'll be good. Here's a nice trick for you guys that people use when they change strings, so they don't have to keep playing it, then tune the new string, and then keep playing and tune it. When you put a new string on, grab the string that you just changed and pull it up a bit, and just don't yank it hard, just kind of pull on it. What that'll do is that'll stretch the string, and then you can just continue tuning it, and then do it again and keep doing it until it stays in tune, and then you won't have to keep playing and retuning over and over and over. Okay guys, so that's about it for this video. I hope I've helped some of you guys out. I'm sorry if you guys already know how to change your own strings, but it is something I get asked to do quite a bit, and I don't think you should be paying someone to do something you should know how to do to look after your instrument, because it's not hard, and it definitely saves a lot of time of having to take it down the street to someone, and strings are expensive enough as it is, so it's a good thing to know how to change your own strings. So like I said, next time I will show you guys how to do intonations on your guitar, so if you do change your string gauge, you will know how to set it up so it stays in tune. But like I said, be careful when you change your string gauge, because it can mess with your neck and it can cause fret buzzing. So hopefully none of you guys get some of that problems when you do change your strings. But until next time, I'm Daniel Peak. See you later.